Welcome to the Select Board meeting for Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. Before we get started, would you please stand with me and let's salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, the first order of business for 7 p.m. It's that time of year. We just had an election, so before we get started, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Kratman and Ms. Wellman for being part of the board and also for everyone that runs. As we all know, it's never easy to put your neck out there and run whether you win or lose. So just kind of like congratulations to all the candidates and especially congratulations to Mr. Kratman and Ms. Wellman. Well done. So.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So it brings us to the Select Board reorganization. So with that, I'm going to take the chairman's hat off, and I think it is appropriate if I just kind of pause, and you all know the drill. Let's start the do I have a nomination for the chair?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I would nominate Todd Johnson for chair.
Okay, I have a nomination. Do I have a second? Okay, I have a nomination, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And it's nays, so it's unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Todd Johnson. With that being said, I would pass you the gavel. I don't know where the gavel is, but I can say this. In all my terms, I have not used the gavel yet, so I wish you the same exact luck that I had in this role. So congratulations. So with that being said, I'm actually going to switch with this.
Stay right there. Stay right there.
Perfect.
No need to move. So thank you. And I do want to, I appreciate the confidence that my colleagues have placed in me, and I hope to serve in the same manner that you led us for the last few years. So I want to commend you for the effort and work that you did, Mr. Kelly, as the chair.
Team effort, always a team effort.
And I'll echo the comments that you made about those who put their name on the ballot and those who are among us tonight who were victorious. Congratulations and welcome to the table. So with that, we need to move forward with our nominations for vice chair and clerk. So let me ask if there are any nominations for the position of vice chair.
I'll make a nomination to nominate Mr. James Mackey as the vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kratman. Is there a second to that? There is, Ms. Wellman. Are there any other nominations? If not, all those in favor of Mr. Mackey serving as vice chair, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will vote in the affirmative as well. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, fellow members of the board. Looking forward to taking up this role and continuing the great work.
Terrific. Okay, we need to elect a clerk, so let me ask if there are any nominations for the position of clerk.
I'll nominate Mr. Mark Kratman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and a second to nominate Select Board Member Kratman to the position of clerk. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for serving, Mr. Kratman, in that capacity.
Thank you.
And welcome again. Okay, we have a published agenda, and we started a conversation a week ago with representative of the Bork Family Foundation. I want to welcome you back again. If you want to come up, feel free. And we had approved the entertainment and one-day alcohol license last week, but we did have some concern around the race route and some of the safety procedures around that. And I know that there's been communication in the last day or so, and I appreciate, Ms. Wood, your working with our public safety department to try to accommodate those concerns, because I think, as I understand it from the communications that we received this afternoon, both from the police chief and from you, we seem to be in a much better place as far as the road traffic and the route that was involved in the pedestrian safety or runner safety. So I want to thank you and commend you for working with us on that.
Of course, thank you. And after talking with them, they were very happy to be able to accommodate everything that you guys had to say about it. So I appreciate the feedback.
Excellent.
And I hope that suffices for what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, I think so. And just for the benefit of the public who was watching last week may want to know, the road route is not changing, but the safety protocols will. The roads will be closed to or made one-way traffic for about 2 hours on the race day during the race. There will be 2 additional police officers added to the effort, and there'll be signage put up ahead of time, as well as communication, I think, through Code Red to residents regarding what I just mentioned. So hopefully, leading up to it, residents will be well informed that it's June 25. Do I have that right?
Yes, correct.
On June 25, that, there'll be at least a short-term interruption of 2-way traffic on East Street and then back up and down to Shawshene Street. So, does anyone have questions from the board?
I just have one
Mr. Kratman?
question. It's really directed toward the town manager. I understand the race. I've read everything that's going on. I know we're going to notify the residents, but my concern would be the trucks going in and out of the commercial thing. So have we notified the, like Market Basket with all the trucks that go in and out of there? Especially since we're going to make it one way. And that's
Yep.
something new that we just came up with, that's all.
And we can do that. We have a list of the businesses in that area that we've communicated to before, and we can send a notice out.
And it's a Saturday, it's only 2 hours. We've done things like this before, even if they're doing work out there. But I think that would be something that'd be helpful if we notified, business, especially the big truck impacts that could be going up and down that road.
Yep. That's a good move. It plays into the safety concerns that were raised, so. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so as is our custom, we generally approve these road races, so I would ask if there are no further questions, if there's a motion to approve the revised plan that's been submitted and reviewed.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey and Ms. Wellman. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that'll be a unanimous vote. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you. Thanks, Megan.
Now you can update the website accordingly. Very good.
Now
All right.
the website will be updated.
When do the
Awesome.
registrations open?
We'll have everything launching tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's all teed up and ready to go, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. All right, we have a 7:10 item, but it's not quite 7:10, so I'm gonna skip that. I'll ask if there are any residents here who wish to speak. I don't see anyone who is rising. Mr. Montori, do you have anything? I know it indicates nothing on the agenda, but any last
do not,
minute
Mr.
items?
Chairman.
No? Okay. Let me ask our clerk, former clerk, we had minutes of March 8 in the meeting packet. Do you want to offer a motion or speak to those?
That we do, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the meeting minutes from March 8th are in the packet. I would put those forward if there are no questions.
Okay, anyone have questions about those minutes? So we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain from that.
Okay, we'll record 4 in favor, 1 abstention. And that would bring us to board member reports for another minute or two. Would you lead us off, Mr. Mackey? Any comments tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No comments. It's been a short week since we were here last, so no new updates.
Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, super quick. The reuse committee is going to meet this Thursday, and kind of our 2 items of focus are going to be a town-wide survey. We did want to reach out to all the boards and committee, the different boards and committees. That tends to be mission impossible, especially that some folks have resigned, and we're getting to that point where we're going to renew some committees and fill in some vacancies. So we're going to focus on a town-wide survey. And Mr. Montori, this is going to be a big lift, so I don't know if we can invite either Steve Sourick or Alex to the meetings, because there's going to be a lot of questions. And, almost acting in that consultant role that we have about the 2 particular buildings. And again, we're referring to the North Street School and the Trehan School. So maybe I'll get with you and see if we can't bring Mr. Sourick or Alex to our meetings to help us and guide us, because we do have a lot of questions that are kind of might require that level of intention and a lot of homework assignments, if you would.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, we were hoping to set up a meeting with you so the 4 of us can sit down and discuss how you want to go forward. So
Okay, very good. That's all I have. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. Mr. Kratman, would you like to offer comments before we move forward?
Yeah, I would just like to thank the voters that actually took the time to go out and vote. I'm very happy to be back here. I think we have a great team here. Looking forward to doing great work and just move forward and nothing but positive thoughts. So hopefully we'll get some work done. I know there's a lot of residents that have concerns about things that happen in the community, and I like a unified team that we have here, and I think we can get it done. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And Ms. Wellman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just really briefly, I also would like to thank the voters who came out, the town clerk, and our election workers for a great day on Saturday. I would like to congratulate Mr. Kratman on his successful bid to come back to the board. And then really briefly, the DEI committee is meeting on Thursday, and I want to remind folks to take the survey. That'll be coming down probably the next couple of weeks. So folks should visit the town website for a link to take that survey.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we try to be as efficient as we can. So now it's 7:12, and we'll move to our 7:10 agenda item, and we'll talk about the Tewksbury Habitat build and some commentary that Mr. Panelitis wants to offer. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And the lights.
There it goes.
Mr. Johnson, you mind if we slide over just?
No, it's not.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Select Board. You're talking to the mic, huh? I'm usually plenty loud. So I just wanted to go over recently, as I think you all know, the town had 3 RFPs for affordable housing projects. And we bid on all 3 of them. We haven't quite gotten an award letter yet, but I think we're the only ones, so I think we're getting them. And so I wanted to go through those projects. I believe there's a requirement that the board approve the town manager to complete the transfer. So just a reminder, most of you, I think, at least in this room, but maybe the public aren't aware who we are. Tewksbury Home Build, we've changed our name. We have a DBA as Home Build now instead of Habitat Build to differentiate the fact that we are not a part of Habitat for Humanity. We are a different 501c3 organization. We began work in 2014 in collaboration with Habitat for Humanity, but formed our own nonprofit corporation in 2015 and have been working since then. This is who the board is. Myself as president, Rick Ham, retired firefighter, as our vice president. Jim Kenny's our treasurer. John Stadman, formerly serving on the school committee, is our clerk. And then I think most of you know Vinny, member of the planning board, Patty Muse, and Sue Panelitis are other members of our board. Just a reminder of some of what we've been able to accomplish since we were formed in 2015. The house at the top was the State Street house. That was a Habitat for Humanity house that we, as our organization, provided at least about 50% of the funding. And that house was completed in 2015. You can see what it went from this very dilapidated house here to this is what it looks like. Well, it looks, that was right after it was built. Below that, you can see the property that was at 1057 South Street. So South Street was an almost 3-acre lot. We subdivided it into 3 lots. That was the old farmhouse that was there. You can see we renovated it and finished that in 2018. That's this house here. Habitat for Humanity built this house at the same time, and we just completed, well, we pretty much completed it in 2019, 2020, but with the pandemic, we finally got all of the final sign-offs and was sold in January as an affordable unit. So all 3 homes at the South Street development have been completed. I just want to recognize that we've had a lot of partners, not only Habitat for Humanity of Greater Lowell, the students of Shawshene Tech actually built the final house, save for the foundation. And they were instrumental for the house that was finished in 2018. And we've had some great support from local companies, specifically Wamisett Lands and Ginsberg and Sons. I think you're all aware of our current project that we're partnered with Soldier on. This is for the Veterans Housing Unit that is on Main Street. You can see the lot in yellow on the picture on the right. This is right adjacent to the Heatherwood facility. It's about an 1.5 acre lot. We've partnered with Soldier On. They have, you can see the rendering in the top left. It's a 21-unit apartment complex specifically for veterans. It will meet the affordable housing requirements and count towards our our census. We expect to break ground in the summer, fall. We're waiting right now to hear back from the state. I spoke today to Peter Graham from Soldier who has come in front of this board. They're just still waiting to hear from the state. They anticipate a yes, they just haven't got the yes. I believe the governor wants to do it as some sort of, press release and so forth. So then the projects that we're talking about specifically tonight, there were 3 RFPs. Just to remind you where they are: Florence Ave, that's in South Tewksbury, almost on the Wilmington line. Rebecca Lane is off of Salem Street, and Cart Path Road is up off of East Street, kind of back behind the hockey rink and so forth back there. All of these projects were approved at town meeting for development as affordable housing, so that's how they became RFPs. The voters approved these to become affordable housing spaces, and then an RFP was put forth. Florence Ave is a very small lot. You can see there, you can see Main Street here. The green is actually the Wilmington line, so that's where the map ends. So there's Main Street, and this is the small lot right here, and there's a Google image of it right there. So it's less than 1/10 of an acre. Our intention is to demo the existing home, replace it with another single-family home. What we estimate to finish this one in 2024, and I'll explain, you'll see why this is the last one on our docket as far as to be finished. There are some potential, on each of these projects, I'll outline what I think the impact could potentially be for these, or at least what we're gonna ask for from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. There are some significant back taxes on this property, and then we'll always consider whether we may come before the board to ask for any additional support for the build. Rebecca Lane, this is actually 4 lots. The plan is to take 3 very small lots, combine them, they'll be about 0.68 acres, and there's a single lot, the one lot kind of by itself here is 0.55. These we intend to develop 2 homes on, sort of roughly about there, 1 in each lot. We already have sort of an informal agreement with Shaw Tech to build both of these homes next school year. So obviously we can't have anything formal yet until we actually own the property. But we've already been in conversation with the folks at Shaw Tech about this. They're eager to do this. They have 2 crews. They have a a senior crew and a junior crew. And so they'll be able to sort of compete to build the 2 homes before the end of next school year. There are some back taxes here, but I think they're much more modest than the other property. There's a question of future build support, and our biggest concern related, or not concern, but the potential for coming back for an ask on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is related to infrastructure costs. The street ends sort of about here, and we want to make sure, related to sewer and water hookups to the 2 new properties, and if there are significant infrastructure upgrades, we would likely come back to this board to utilize Affordable Housing Trust Fund funds to make that happen. And so those would be the potential areas there.
Mr. Panelist,
Sure.
Are you aware, is the town street or road, did it end at that point, or is it actually supposed to continue through?
So and Mr. Montori can certainly correct me, but the street, I believe, is a paper street that goes to basically at the end of this lot. It's an issue of where does the infrastructure end, and we're planning on a walk with Kevin Hardiman to understand exactly what the infrastructure in there before we come before any board for any kind of request for assistance. We think, as I understand it, we think the sewer's fine, but there might be a water issue. So we're gonna investigate that, and certainly would come back in front of this body to deal with that. Carpath Road is the final one. This is a 2.5 acre lot. Town meeting actually approved up to 3 homes in this lot. Our plan right now is 2. There's some wetlands you can see kind of to the left and below the lot here, and how much that encroaches on the plot is somewhat of a question. We have a donor of a home in the neighborhood here. I won't identify which one yet. Again, we want to formalize all those agreements, but a very, very short distance from this property. And so that, assuming we can get a foundation in, the house can simply be moved down the street, placed on the foundation. We'd obviously have to do some finish work, put in a new heating system, those sorts of things, but that home would be ready to go again next year. I will note, excuse me. I will note that there are some questions About the lot lines, we've had some contact already with neighbors in this area, and we've had a couple good conversations with those neighbors, and we're going to continue to work with them. There's some question as to the neighbors in the area believe that the lot lines are not quite where the town thought they were, and so we're going to work with the town to have that fully surveyed, make sure everything is correct, and then continue to work with those neighbors before we try to move on with anything. So the plan would be to move a home in the spring, over the fall next year, finish up all the finish work on that home, and then the following school year, do the second home, assuming everything goes well. And again, on this one, there's no back taxes, so again, it would be a question of the infrastructure. The pavement sort of ends right about here, and the question is where that infrastructure is in that area. So again, it's a walk with the town engineer to understand what the deal is there, and then obviously we would come back with any details or requests related to that. Just to sort of summarize all the three RFPs and kind of how we anticipate things going. We're in the month of April here. We hope to finalize all the transfers of the properties. Cart path, there is going to have to be a certain amount of lot subdivision in order to get two homes on that property. It's currently a single 2.5 acre. Then we would do site work, foundation poured, move the house, and then over the course of the winter, do all of the interior work to get that house ready to be put up as far as a lottery for an affordable home next summer. And then following that, the second home, we would be looking to then construct in the second year. Rebecca Lane, I mentioned we would have to do a certain amount of, it's not so much subdivision as combining lots, going through the permitting process, then do the various site work, get our foundations in time, and this is key for us, is it has to be done by September because that's when the kids come back to school. So Shaw Tech would be building both of these homes across that school year. We want them to have enough time before the snow falls to get inside the house. And if they can do that, then they can finish it in a single school year. So we should have 2 homes sold in '23 from that project, a single one from Cart Path, and then we would look to focus on Florence and the second house at Cart Path for the '23-24 school year, and then a lottery and sale. So in the end, we would be looking at 5 new affordable homes out of these 3 RFPs. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any members of the board have questions for Mr. Panelitis?
I have a number of questions, but I think it's when we get the final presentation of what's going to be going on. When you have a paper road, things like that, there may be easements, those type of things. I'm sure you work that out with Mr. Hardiman of when those are done. And, you work out all the utility and whatever else agreements need to be done. But, no, thank you very much. A very good presentation.
Anyone else? Mr. Mackey?
First of all, thank you. Great presentation. This is great work you guys are doing. And I want to make that clear before I ask some of these questions because they're in no way meant to be derogatory. But this is obviously 3 lots of land, 5 houses. That's a big project, or a number of projects. Is this something you guys feel you can accomplish in this time frame?
Yeah, so the good news is the Cart Path home is really a matter of paying vendors to come in, drop a foundation, pay another vendor to move the house, and then work on the individual, aspects of getting a heating system, finish carpentry, those sorts of things to get that house ready for sale. So that one's gonna actually be a lot of us just expending resources for others to do. There's not a lot for us to do. The Rebecca Lane homes, we did this with the South Street house, the 1047 South Street. We have our Vice President, Rick Ham, also, when we have a build, we ask him to serve as the construction manager. So he's down there all the time. He is a retired firefighter. So we do give him a small stipend for that when we have a build. And he manages that interaction with Shaw Tech and also with all of our suppliers, any outside vendors we have to bring in. There's certain things we don't ask the kids to do. They don't come in and do the roofing, for instance. We have outside vendors do some of that. We also paid generally for things like drywall. The kids don't generally do that kind of work. They're more on the rough carpentry, rough plumbing, rough electrical. So because we have Shaw Tech really handling all of the skilled labor, we have the resources after the sale of the 1047 house to pay for the vendors that we need to do the other work. And we have Rick ready to go as far as the construction manager, working with Dave Norkowitz and the other members of the Shaw Tech team. I don't anticipate any problems with that. And by staging it into 2 sets of homes, the following year, then we would we would then look at the second cart path home. And at that point, depending on what our resources are looking like, what our time, sort of our bandwidth is, we could always delay the Florence home 1 more year if we really had to, but I don't anticipate that being a need.
Perfect, thank you. And follow-on question is, before we go to that final presentation, I would like to due diligence perspective, kind of see the financials, what you guys are projecting, and to the town manager, what we think is owed for back taxes, what the cost is going to be to the town. I noticed there was mention of build support, and I'm assuming there's going to be some looking for tax forgiveness on those properties that have back taxes.
Yes, so the houses that have been sold or transferred, first to Habitat for Humanity of Greater Lowell and then to us at South Street, the town has picked up the back taxes on those properties in the past. Mr. Montori probably has the numbers handy, but as far as other support, State Street, I want to say there was somewhere in the $50,000 to $75,000 range that was given to Habitat for Humanity. We were just another funder for that project and brought in a lot of volunteers and in-kind donations. For the South Street home, for the 1057 South Street, we didn't get any affordable housing trust fund support, and then we got $40,000 for the 1047, the home that was just sold. So for the price of, other than the back taxes, for the price of $110,000, $120,000, that's 4 homes. So I don't think you're going to do better than that. And then the back taxes, I don't think we're anywhere near that. In this case, I think it's 100 something for the Florence.
So Florence Ave is approximately 163, and I'm not sure if there is much on the other parcels, but
20,000 on the Rebecca Lane, but I'm sure Mr. Montori can get those. As far as our own financials, we've done everything by donations of our members, and we've done fundraisers in the past. We've done a golf tournament. We've done cornhole tournaments. We used to have the Harlem Wizards come over to the high school. It was a lot of fun. But with the current sale of the 1047, we actually are in the black for the first time in a while, which is good. And we have the resources to get going on those. And as far as due diligence, we can provide all of our financials. Those were submitted, at least a pro forma, on the RFP response, but we're a 501c3. All of those books are open.
Perfect, yeah, and as you said, I don't think we're going to find a better deal, but it'd be remiss to not do that due diligence, so thank you for that.
Excellent. Anyone on the right side? Mr. Kelly?
Sure. Just to piggyback on Mr. Mackey, obviously the cost, associated costs, but this is exactly what we're supposed to use the local housing fund for, so that's all good stuff. And my only second comment would be the abutters. We really have to take into consideration the abutters. And I know if you watch a planning board meeting, it's kind of their, it's their area of subject matter expert for runoff water, you name it, you know what I mean? So I don't know, does the planning board have any say in this, or does it come to us first for an approval tonight? Do we have to approve it tonight or take action? Because I would love to have another meeting when it's all laid out, what you find with the local town engineer, because I think it's very important to understand the abutters, their concerns, their thoughts, before we put a shovel in the ground, that's all. So
I believe the permitting will go through the ZBA related to these homes because for various reasons, particularly the Rebecca, they're not acre lots, so they would have to go through the ZBA process to be approved for building. The fact that they're affordable and the fact that we have a vote of the town meeting behind each of these suggests that we should be okay, and that was the path we took on 1047. As far as the neighbors go, I can tell you I've already had one good conversation with the neighbor who would be behind the cart path home, and we know that there's some concerns from the Rebecca Lane residents as well. what we've done in the past. We've had neighborhood get-togethers where we could come and show them what we want to do, talk to them about modifications to that. We did this for South Street, and in the end, we had neighbors from the South Street home coming in and volunteering and working on the home. So we have a good record of working with the neighbors, and we're not throwing, 50 condos up in there. This is a single-family home for a family that deserves it. So that's how we've addressed that in the past.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Ms. Wellman?
Thank you. So I think we've worked on a couple of houses in town, and it's always been a pleasure working with you and your team on various projects. So I think this is a wonderful use for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars to pay some of these costs. I look forward to getting more detail on that, as Mr. Mackey indicated as well. I really like your Gantt chart. I'm a sucker for a good Gantt chart, I can't tell you. So I thought that was great, and I like how your projects are laid out, and that was very nicely presented. And I know that if residents want to see that presentation, it'll be on your website. Is that
Yep.
right? And that would be tewksburyhomebuild.org.
Yep.
There we go.
And I can also provide it to Mr. Montori, so it's available
Perfect.
on your website as well.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of development of affordable housing, and I like these kind of not micro projects, but smaller single-family homes is just fantastic. And I'm particularly appreciative to our anonymous donor who will be, donating that home to the cart path property. Like Mr. Kelly said, I'm concerned with some of the abutter issues, and I wonder if through the ZBA process, the abutters will be notified. Is that typical?
They will.
So they'll go through that process. So, because I just want to make sure that, and I know you have a great track record, not to detract anything from you, but we do like to be open here and have transparent, and have everybody be able to, address their issues with this board. So, my question is, what do we need to do tonight? When does the ZBA process begin? Does this have to happen before that starts?
So no other action until the board votes to approve the sale to Tewksbury Habitat Build and authorize me to sign any of the paperwork at the closing. Nothing else takes place. So
Okay.
that's the first step before they, we go through then we'll go through the closing, sign all the paperwork, deed it over to Habitat, and then they'll at their pace go through the permitting process, file with the ZBA. I don't know when they'll have their meetings with the butters, but nothing happens until after this board at one of the meetings makes a decision.
Okay, and we're just basically signing off on the RFP process that's already been, just
Yeah, I mean,
the
this
approval of
is
the
right.
sale.
So this has been a few, as we mentioned, it's been a few-step process. So this dates back a few years when at the time the local housing partnership was identifying sites or lots to build affordable housing. They came up with the land. We brought it to town meeting, being very specific that the land will be used for affordable housing. Town meeting voted to approve the article that authorized the Board of Selectmen to sell the land. Then we generated an RFP at the administration level, advertised, in the local newspaper, 30 days in the Central Register, with an RFP that actually NIMCOG helped us draft, that we can use for other projects. And Tewksbury Habitat, responded. They were the only group that responded to the RFP, and now we bring it to the board, who's authorized to sell it per town meeting.
Okay, all right. Just so I can finish my thought, Mr. Johnson. I'm comfortable with that process and the transparency around that process. I thank you for elucidating that, and I thank you for your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I will say that I'm totally supportive. Great use of the Affordable Housing Trust. Certainly having a measure of local investment. Tewksbury residents advancing the cause, I think is very positive. So I commend you and your fellow board members for making that a reality. I think I heard during your presentation there's some question of title in at least one parcel that has to be resolved. There's certainly some outstanding financial questions around infrastructure, to use the term you used. So, my view relative to our board's authorization of funds from the trust fund itself, from where I sit, is just predicated on full information. So once that is fleshed out and you can bring that back either through the town manager or yourself, I think, I would certainly be looking at this favorably. But I think, from the standpoint of responsibility to safeguard the town's funds, we need to know what we're getting into, so.
Yeah, to be clear, we're not asking for any funds at this point.
Understood.
This is
Yeah.
just about the sale of the property, which allows us to do all of that work to
Yeah.
give you a better
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah. So, so I think the title piece is an important component to authorizing the sale, but I don't know, Mr. Montori, is there any steps you need tonight in order to advance it?
No, I mean, we've already started the title searches, just because we do that anyways, for these particular parcels. And I know Mr. Mackey has some questions that we want to get some answers to, so I think if we maybe, our next meeting is on for a few weeks, see where we are at that point. Maybe we can if we have everything finalized, we can put it on that agenda or shortly after that, once we get all the information. But at our level, we're moving it along, or already started moving it along. So that'll give us more time to button up some of the questions.
Sure.
And then go from there.
And I'll just clarify, it wasn't title questions, at least none that have come forward. It's a lot line question as to where the lot
yeah.
lines are. And so it's an access issue on that particular
Yeah.
property.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification, yeah. And we're sensitive, or I should say, I'm sensitive to the timeline that you spelled out, right? We don't want to lose the school building season, so I'm sure this board will consider that and take action as quickly as we can. All right? So if you can bring that back to us when it's
Yeah,
appropriate.
we'll push it to bring it back for the next meeting.
Okay, all right. So
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. Good work. Okay, I believe we have covered everything on our agenda. The only thing I want to ask, I think Mr. Montori at least talked to a few of you, if not all of you. We need to try to move the April 26th meeting. And I think it sounds like the evening before the 25th may be better. So I just want to confirm that works for people.
Mr. Chairman, I will be out of state, so I'll attend remotely.
You can do that virtually?
I will, yeah.
Okay, excellent. And we will have to begin that meeting with an executive session. So hopefully we can start at 6:30 instead of 7. Is that okay with everyone?
I may.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll adjust that calendar.
Yes, and
Can go
the
from
television can go live that night, even though the planning board's live, they can do both.
Excellent. So we'll do 6:30 executive session, and we'll do our open session, hopefully starting at 7. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other business? If not, can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.